States of America and to
Thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
President Mateusz,
Here.
Commissioner Slater Carter, Present. Commissioner Chang Crowley,
Present.
Commissioner Domrat,
here.
Commissioner Zemke.
Here. All right. The part of the morning when we take public comment for items not on the agenda. At this point, I'm seeing a public comment from Janet Breyer.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. Janet Breyer, resident El Granada. I just had a comment insofar as the RV lease. I was wondering if there's any updates on that. Pursuant to the lease agreement, paragraph 2.2, we were supposed to have a report on September 1. We got one late on September 18th. There's a staff report and there's some open items. And we were supposed to have a new report of November 1. 2024. I haven't seen any status on that. So because the lease can be terminated within 180 days of the lease, if they're in default for not complying, I think it's very important to have a status on this, because if they're in non-compliance, then of course we can terminate the lease, and that would also tie into parking issues, because that would open it up for alternative use. So I was just requesting that that be put on an agenda, or that it be discussed, or a status be provided regarding that lease, and whether indeed they've complied with the requirements. I also had a concern that it seems that some of the lease terms were modified, where there were certain dates set or modifications to the lease were supposed to be in writing, such as submission of permits, plans, et cetera. And all of that was done verbally. It's my opinion and belief that if the lease is going to be modified, it has to be modified in writing, that the board should determine how it's been modified, modify it in writing, and bring it to a vote. So I look forward to a status. Thank you.
Steve Trussell.
Morning. Congratulations on your guys' elections. I voted for Virginia. She was the only one I voted for, hoping that she'll do the right thing. She really is a kind person, and I'm hoping that she'll do some of the right thing. But I just think that some of the spending and some of the things we're doing down at the harbor, not so much the Christmas show, but it's just it's extensive spending. It's way overboard for what a harbor is. It is a harbor. And if we're going to blow that kind of money like we blew on the Christmas show, seemed kind of like it was more of a hubris project than anything else. There might have even been some cronyism and some nepotism. Apparently, some of the things that were the stage and some of the bands that were going to play there, they actually may have been family members. It may have been an internal kind of thing. I don't know if corruption's at an all-time high here. And it might be we're just better at covering it up. But I think we really need to look at how we're spending money here. And if we're spending this kind of money, we should be getting, new docks, something that actually pertains to boating. That whole upper parking lot thing they had in the parking lot for the Christmas show, the only really thing that had anything to do with boating there was Mariah Betancourt. And she's such a nice soul with her little cookie cart. We ought to set something up for her so she can park that thing up there every week. At least it has something to do with the boating aspect of it. Let's be more responsible. Let's take this new term you guys got elected. I know you guys know how to do the right thing. And, let's get on managing a harbor more than just maybe fueling the ego of the board or management. Thank you, guys.
So I have a public comment for item G2, and it sounds like Mr. Korth, your real estate, the Burnham, so that would be item G2 also, so that will be.
I'd like to actually make a couple comments on the process too,
Go ahead.
So, it kind of ties into what Steve's saying. And I tried to join the last board meeting, or maybe it wasn't the last one before, when you were talking about the real estate that you were looking to purchase on Princeton Avenue. And I was maybe 1 minute short and there was no way to join the meeting. Now I come to read last night, I was supposed to take one of the boats up to KKMI today, and I realized that the citizens cannot make a comment unless they are physically here. No longer do we have the opportunity to call in and make public comment. And when you have the time frame from 10 to 1 p.m., it's exclusionary to any normal, any citizen that's actually got a full-time job. My wife, for instance, she can't come today. I know my next door neighbor wanted to come, and he's working today. So I think we need to look at potentially changing that back to allow for public comment. I was not allowed to make a comment on that real estate purchase in Princeton, and that's going to be a closed item that we won't have a chance to talk about. The commission has purchased this building, it purchased that other lot across the street, purchased this. I mean, this is the taxpayer dollars. The county has purchased hotels down there. In the harbor, we have an $8 million state purchased new patrol boat. And the stench of just burning taxpayer dollars is just, it's getting pretty serious. And I think that real estate, I don't know what the harbor is going to do with the Princeton piece of property. And then now for this other discussion after on the Burnham parking lot. I don't think there's been any solicitation of input from the residents here. But I think there needs to be, and tying to what Steve says, the harbor needs to do the core business and maintain some of those docks and things like that. And all these expenditures on real estate and some of these other things, we need to put a stop on it. I really believe so. So when you vote, yes, I want to spend that money, you're lining up to be the government that spends too much money on the credit card. We need to.
All right, thank you. And also, I'd like to correct you that you are able to send an email when you see this agenda comes out the Friday before the meeting. You've got, what's that, 5-6 days to make comments. You're welcome.
Not public comment, not over the phone.
That's fine.
Right.
Yeah, but then, yeah, anyway, I wasn't able to make comments on the last meeting. That's my point. It's not fair.
All right.
I can't.
Well, I think that takes us
They can make comments.
into, because there'll be a separate meeting, Deputy Harbor Master Goldsmith's request. And I believe that brings us up to date on public comment. So we're at commissioner comments.
I'd like to comment, just to compliment our operational staff at Oyster Point for the fast response that occurred a couple of weeks ago when we had a dragon boat tip over in the bay. And also, I mean, they were assisted by, I believe Brisbane, South City Fire Department, and probably some other agencies too, but it seemed to go very smoothly for that. And I was there, and it was a great response. So kudos to staff.
Commissioner Slater Carter.
I'd like to compliment the staff on the boat lighting event. It brought the attendance would have been even probably a record attendance is my guess. Brought people who don't normally recognize the harbor as something they should care about. And there were dogs and kids and elderly people and babies and just all kinds of folks who were enjoying the harbor. Having been in advertising for a number of years, I learned is that if people care about something, they seek to protect it and preserve it. Not too long ago, the county was making recommendations to take the harbor district over. If you want to see what the harbor district would look like if the county took it over, look at the airport just down the road. Not available to the public. Remember, the county just got rid of the spring show. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name now. I used to go to it all the time. Thank you. And I think it's very important that people recognize the harbor. They recognize that they can come here and buy fresh fish. They can come here and support the fishing industry. And this is a way to do it. So I want to give kudos. Yeah, it was a phenomenal event. I've been talking to people about it and they all go, wow, that's really a cool place. And so I want to thank you for pulling it together in spite of the next door saying the event had been canceled. And so they came and, it was just wonderful. And there were so many people who said, gee, I look forward to it again next year. So thank you, staff. And all the attendees too.
Commissioner Chang Crowley.
So I want to echo what Bill said about the rescue of the people who capsized in the dragon boat. I think that the crew at Oyster Point were very responsive. So Jim, if you could extend our thank you to them, they were great. Also on November 23rd, I was with Bill Zimke at the dog park ribbon cutting,
Oh,
which
yes.
Bill was a part of as the commissioner there. They also had their annual fun run, which I did, but the fun part was getting to see what South San Francisco is doing with Oyster Point too. The dog park ribbon cutting was a highlight, I think, for many people. They're excited the dog park is there. So thanks for letting us know about that, Phil. And then I want to echo what Catherine said too about the Lighted Boat Festival. I think that it was a great event. And so I think Melanie, Julie, John, y'all did a great job. So thank you. The people and I saw a lot of people there, and actually there would have been more had the weather been better that morning. Probably more lights because, the weather was bad. It was kind of iffy for most of the day until near the end when like, oh, well, we're on. And so I was glad to go, but I heard only positive feedback about the event. And I thought it brought the community together. And I think that's the most important thing. And not everyone's going to be happy about it, but I'm sorry if you weren't happy about it, but I only heard positive feedback about that. And I hope that the harbor crew who were there thought it was a fun event because they were fantastic too. Jacob, I think you were there and lots of others from Pillow Point Harbor. So thank you for putting all of that together.
I'd just like to echo what some of my fellow commissioners said. I think the effort that started back in August or so was extensive to put something together for the taxpayers of the county. So I get it. There's tax dollars that set these things up and have to cover it. It's not just tax dollars of fishermen that use the harbor. It's tax dollars of the entire county. And we got a really, really good information from people from around the county that the harbor is important to them. They don't fish it, but they enjoy it. They want to learn more about it. They were very receptive for the pursuit of ours to go into this Ocean Science Center to get people educated about what happens at the harbor, what fishermen do, what the ocean is all about in this region. So it's really about the whole community, not just a small percentage of the community. I would like to see us do more of those kind of events to bring more people to make the community aware of what the fishermen do and how important it is to them also. So it kind of goes both ways. But then again, I think the staff really worked really hard to put all that together and it came off pretty well. So thank you all.
I just wanted to talk about the boat lighting event primarily. If anybody knows the details of this, we had 4 bands scheduled. They canceled. at the last minute. A great thanks goes out to Melanie Hadden for the work that she did in securing a band at the last minute. We lost the roof to the stage. There was a lot of reasons people didn't want to come in. We had a stormy morning. It was unbelievable how it turned out. The decorations this year by the harbor workers and harbor masters was outstanding. It was the best I've seen in decades. Total thanks for everything about the way that turned out. And then I would be remiss if I didn't remark about how poor the San Mateo County Health Department is. One has to just wonder, how is it that other counties can put on things like chili cook-offs, clam chowder cook-offs, and yet the rules are so onerous that every single person that applied wound up pulling out due to the regulations to this unique county rather than the other places that put these on routinely. That concludes my remarks. Now we're on to item E in the agenda. Is there anything to add to the general manager's report?
I want to talk about a few things. The first is the WRDA 2024. I got a letter from Representative Eshoo commending the district for getting it put into the Pillar Point Sea Level Rise Study into WRDA 2024, and it's passed both House and Senate. It's supposed to be signed by the president before the first of the year. So that'll be bringing in that initial study, which could result in what I'm estimating to be about a $30 million project from Pillar Point down to Pillar Citos Creek in protecting the waterfront. The other Army Corps project, which has already been studied and approved to move forward, is the Princeton Shoreline Project. The Army Corps has requested a meeting this week, which we'll be meeting them this week to discuss the cost share agreement, the project, and what the project is designed to do is to mitigate and prevent further damage to the Princeton shoreline that's been caused by the current, caused by the breakwater installation, which has stripped that beach of sand, thus exposing Princeton shoreline to sea level rise and other threats. So that'll be a great project for the harbor because it'll reestablish the beach from Barbara's Fish Trap down to the marsh. So looking forward to both of those major projects coming down the pike. And then finally, we had a meeting this month with our harbor dredge team, and that is everything's still on schedule and permitting is still moving forward. And it's green light for this spring to start the eelgrass mitigation, the dredging, and pumping sand over onto Surfers Beach. So all those projects are moving forward.
Thank you. Any update on the operations report?
The Board of Commissioners and the General Manager have covered pretty much everything. We're hovering still above 70% occupancy at Oyster Point and 90% at Pillar Point. The staff have done an excellent job over the last month with the significant high and low tides, making sure all the vessels are secure and that water is being pumped out of those boats that are compromised by the extreme weather, and also in preparation for events both at Oyster Point and Pillar Point, doing Christmas and holiday decorations, and the events that were already aforementioned, including also that wasn't mentioned. The district participated and had a float and additional lighted truck in the Half Moon Bay holidays, which everybody really enjoyed. We were able to also create a banner that showed all of the statistics of all of the rescues that both Oyster Point and Pillar Point have conducted, including the most recent one at Oyster Point, with the 18 people that were pulled out of the water.
Thank you. Any additional items on the administration and finance report?
President Mateo. Good morning, commissioners. Last month, we had a lot of people that were out for various reasons. And so I just wanted to thank the entire administrative staff for continuing to get all of our vendors paid and our employees paid and continuing the operations of the district. We're still working on implementing HR functions into our Tyler Tech system. So that's an ongoing process. And we're continuing to coordinate all of our records. The office is going to be closed. We'll be working remotely. It's going to be closed to the public through January 14th, and we're going to be replacing the carpet and doing some painting. Return in January. Thank you.
70s shag carpet. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hot pink.
Orange.
All right, on to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve items 1 through 8 on the consent
Can I
calendar?
make a quick comment?
Yes.
A follow-up on what Jim Pruitt was saying on the WORDA 2024. The thing for the public and those here today need to understand that gives us authorization. It does not give us money or what we call appropriation. That's the next big step. We have to now go get the money. And I think we're going to hear from the Corps of Engineers, since they stopped a lot of the work plan money that was going to go to them this year for many studies. Pacifica got knocked out of that and other things, where the Corps is saying they have just too much work to do. So the idea is going to be to work with the politics, to work with our local representatives and make sure it's a kind of a nonpartisan effort to get funding for really critical kind of things like what the sea level rise will do to the harbor and to the beaches. So that's something else we'll follow up on. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No dogs will be allowed on the new cart?
Only well-behaved ones.
Okay, all right, okay. We don't want them to.
On the consent calendar. A motion to approve the consent
I
calendar.
move that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call on that?
President Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Slater Carter,
Aye.
Commissioner Train Crawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Donrat,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item G1 in the discussion, real property revocable license, San Mateo Transit District, and that'll be the general manager.
Good morning, President Mateusz, Commissioners. This staff report and issue is a result of working with San Mateo Transit Authority and their request to get some type of parking or permanent parking spaces at Oyster Point Marina. Currently, buses all line up at the WORDA terminal and in the WEDA terminal, sorry. And that area is too small. The buses are too tight. When they try to turn in, when there's more than one bus in there, they cut the corner routinely and knock out the bike lockers that are in the center island there. And it's also so jam-packed, it's unsafe for pedestrians in there. We do have space on our area of responsibility over at OPM to dedicate to bus parking. And we've worked out where a real property license for them to park their buses permanently there or have a parking spot permanently there for their buses. The staff report says 2, but it's up to 3 in the license. That was a typo. And they will also have access to the restroom there at the terminal on a 24-hour basis. For the right to park their buses and have the right to use the restroom, the license calls for $500 a month, which is payable once a year at $6,000. Any questions? That's the report.
All right, commissioners, do we either have a motion or comments?
Oh, I'd just like to make a comment. I do support this. I know that the Oyster Point has not had bus connections until fairly recently, and it doesn't get a huge amount of patronage, but I think it's important that we support public transportation out to that location. So I support it.
I think it's a good thing too.
Would somebody like to,
I'll move to approve a revocable license for Sam Trans use of property at Oyster Point.
I'll second that.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Any other commission discussion? Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Slater Carter, Commissioner Chang Corrali,
I,
Commissioner Gomrat,
Aye.
Commissioner Clemens.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item G2, public parking, Burnham Strip, El Granada. We'll start with the general manager's report before we take public comment.
Staff has been working on this concept for a few months now, looking to take advantage of the need for parking as a result of the Highway 1 project that's going to repave Highway 1 through this area and turn the shoulders into bike parking and eliminate the parking on Highway 1, which the district utilizes Highway 1 as a overflow parking lot on certain days, such as crab openers and salmon openers, or when the bluefin's running. Our trailer parking lot for the launch ramp overflows and boats and trailers go out and park on Highway 1. So we're looking for a new parking area for those boats and trucks and trailers during those times. And also excess parking for the harbor for special events or on weekends and holidays when we run out of parking at the harbor. Overflow lots are needed to prevent cars from parking in Princeton and in El Granada. We own 2 pieces of property straight across from the property that we bought between the parking lot C1 and Sam's Restaurant on the west side of Highway 1. We own 2 of those lots. 2 of those lots are owned by private citizens. And Caltrans is required to find parking for their project now, for their CDP. Sam's Restaurant will have all their parking eliminated, and their current parking lot they use next to the timeshare hotel is being developed, so they'll lose that parking lot also. And then also for the overflow parking for our RV lot, we'll need to find parking for that also. And then just access to the beaches and everything else. The idea is that we turn between our properties on the east side of Highway 1 and Capistrano. That property is owned by Caltrans in the county, would be turning into type of a walking park or benches, so people could sit there and enjoy the view of the harbor through that view corridor, and also walk to that crosswalk to cross Highway 1, going to that side of the harbor. And then on the south side of the properties, a new crosswalk that would take them to the launch ramp and to Hotel Beach there, and to people who want to fish off of the Breakwater, RV Park, and Surfers Beach. We're looking to take advantage of the opportunity for partnerships with several different organizations who also are in need of parking, such as already mentioned, Caltrans, the County of San Mateo, City of Half Moon Bay, Granada Community Services District, and hopefully have combined funding for this project. Caltrans does have funding for the project to share with us, and we'll, depending on how the project goes forward, if it goes forward after we receive public comment, they'll cover a portion of this parking issues. The area in which we're talking for is zoned for parking for public sporting activities or public exercises, and this parking lot would provide parking for those activities to take place on the waterfront.
Thank you.
I have shared this concept with the county, Caltrans, Half Moon Bay, Granada Community Services District. And so they were aware that we're looking at this. And at this point, it's just a concept that the staff is presenting to the board to see if the board is interested in staff moving forward with this project, or should just staff drop the project and move on to other things. Any questions? That's my report.
Questions?
Public? Oh, I've got questions.
Did you?
Commissioner Slater Carter.
Did you
Thank
want to
you.
do public comments?
Well,
I'll start. I think this is an interesting idea. I am the sole appellant pretty much for trying to get Caltrans under control for providing parking for that stretch of the highway. Participated, but the huge bike lanes on either side of the road prevailed, except for Caltrans has to provide 70 parking spaces. Hopefully we can get them to. But for as far as the Harbor District lands, I'm concerned about many fiscal impacts. And how we control it. I mean, I'm concerned about liability. I'm concerned about structural issues like ADA. Because if you're 1% over the allowed slope on a public space, I'd like to know who's participating in this with us.
Financially.
In addition to financially, I don't think we want to have anyone else except as lessees. I don't want any shared interests because that can get very nasty. I have other concerns that can be worked out, but we need to first look at, I mean, you heard the public today. The nice thing about land is it is an asset, and if it's used properly, it's not a huge liability and a huge cost to the district. So, I think one of the things is how we can, if and how we control access to it. And there's little things in terms of the cost to the district, like trash pickup. Having had a small parking lot in, I saw people leaving dirty diapers in the parking lot, bags of trash. They're all issues that the Harbor District is going to have to deal with. And so it is, I think it's important for the Harbor District to make sure it's not a drain on our either cash flow or resources.
Commissioner Domerat.
Parking is a challenge. It's important to the harbor. It's important to the community. I think it's important to look at all these options and make sure it's well vetted between all the participating parties and the community itself, including a financial report that would look at these challenges as liabilities and so forth. So I think it warrants going further with a more detailed report that would be available then to the public, and maybe we do a workshop for the public. I think it's big enough that we can get public involvement in a workshop to look at these options. And if that does not become the most viable option, maybe there are other things that the harbor can work together with the community on in terms of parking in the region. But as we've seen over the last quite a few years, more and more and more people are coming to the area. Many more people are coming to the harbor. They love the harbor. They want to see what's going on. They want to go to our restaurants. They want to go to the restaurants that are not our restaurants, but along that area. So it's a big challenge. And I think we need to continue to become good players in this and provide, at least for these alternatives, some kind of document that the public can then take a look at, read with the financials and the liabilities of those things identified. So thank you.
Sure, anything.
Oh, no, I agree with the comments that made. I haven't thought that far ahead, but Commissioner Slater Carter did point out some things to be aware of and that might trip us up as we go through the planning process. But thank you for those comments.
I personally have never heard anyone that supports this bike lane concept. It's kind of being rammed down our throat by Caltrans. And in my personal opinion, it makes no sense whatsoever to lose all that extra parking and whatnot. And I hope that as this moves forward, Caltrans hears loud and clear from everyone that this was a bad idea coming out of the starting gate. I've heard something about a special right-of-way. I don't know if Caltrans wants to give up any land or the county for parking. One thing I would advocate for is a slow zone between Capistrano and Coronado so that people can cross the highway a little bit safer. We have a special speed zone there that cuts things down. Okay, I think we've got some public comment, so I'd like to start with Janet Breyer.
Thank you, Janet Berrigan, resident. First of all, I'd like to thank Catherine Slater Carter very much for all her hard work in regard to the Caltrans appeal. That was really important, and there was a lot of reach out. I participated, I wrote in, and I know other people did. I want to thank her for that. I'd also like to state that the comments regarding this parking as presented by Commissioner Slater Carter, and I don't know your name, gentlemen.
Over there.
And Mr. Dormeron, Commissioner Dormeron, I concur with them. I think this proposal needs more thought, especially because of the interworkings of the other agencies that we're talking about and the concerns. I think there's also other alternatives aside from working with GCSD, et cetera. As I pointed out in my opening remarks, this RV park, I think they're in default of that lease. And I think that there should be some further thought about using that lot, which was designated for parking for public use, particularly in light of the default under that lease and the failure to provide reports, to my knowledge. The alternative, this is a Caltrans problem. And as Mr. George Dermerat pointed out, you know, Caltrans has other alternatives. They don't need us to help them solve a problem, particularly as Commissioner Matoush said, there's a lot of people against this bike lane. So why should we be helping them solve their problem? Because the Coastal Commission said you have to provide 75 parking spaces. I'm all for all the interagencies getting together and talking. I'm all for that. I'm just saying that Caltrans made this problem, and I think they need to step up and talk about the right-of-way that can be used for parking, et cetera. There's been no traffic mitigation reports, which I think would be needed under the California Coastal Commission. Those are expensive, and you're going to need them. And in regard to the GCSD plans, those plans have not been approved by the board of GCSD. And again, I've been told on a good source that those plans will never be approved because, again, there's no traffic mitigation report. All these people want to, you know, start moving parking, taking away parking, but the primary step is, where is the traffic mitigation report?
Thank you very much for your time. And next we have Mr. Todd Korth.
So just a quick clarification, Jim, can you, this color coding, so I mean, I agree with what you said, Tom. I think the start of the process with the bike lane is ill-conceived from the start. This color, can you walk me through, or the public through, what this color coding is? I mean, I know the blue is what the county owns, green's privately owned. What is the intent of, let's say, the orange?
The orange is all owned by Caltrans and the county of San Mateo. And that was the idea was putting a walking trail through that, landscaping, because there's already a self-help trail through there. But to improve that area a little bit more, landscaping and trail so you can get to the intersection at Capistrano.
Okay, thank you.
Dan Haggerty.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm here today to say that I feel very strongly against this concept of this parking lot. I'll tell you why. All this is driven by the Caltrans bike lanes proposals. I've ridden bikes my whole life. I know a lot about what's safe and what's not safe. This community lost a good friend of mine by the name of Harold Herman in Moss Beach. He was riding on the side of the road, the highway. A truck veered across the oncoming lane. It was a horrific death. I don't want to see this happen again. After this, the community kind of leaned on me to do something about it. I called the CHP. They refused to give me any information of the police report. They switched me over to the public information officer. So I had a conversation with him. He essentially I told him, listen, we have to do something to see that this never happens again. And he said to me, he said, the answer is don't ride on the side of the highway. He would never do it himself. He told me this. So now Caltrans is telling the public, no, it's perfectly fine. Well, let me tell you, riding next to the 3,000 or 10,000 pound death machines, and telling our children that this is okay is insane. This proposal that's brought up with the parking is just going along with the program, and it's telling everybody it's okay. For the very few highly skilled cyclists, if they insist on riding on the highway, on the right side of the fog line, I'm not going to object. But these are skilled, these people that are adults that know how, but to just put it out there and say that it's okay for everybody, even the children, is just unsafe. It should be really easy for everybody to understand the safety issue here. And then the concept of having the bike lanes crossing on with all the in and outs from Sam's, in addition to putting a crosswalk right there, is just pure madness.
And I want to thank you for your comments, and I
There's
really
gonna be
hope.
that. This is very important. Let me just finish up very fast. The priority should always be for the parallel trail. Focus should be on the parallel trail. Get the bikes off the road. There should be a public workshop on this item with robust input from the community. There will be a petition coming up. And if anybody can't see the logic, the Caltrans can't see it, I would suggest proposing to get a good price for the RV lot next to the bathroom and make that parking. Switch that with Caltrans and make that work. Because that's the only thing that makes really safe sense, parking and walking safely to the beach from that location. Thank you.
All right. Now, for members of the public, it's incumbent upon the district to finance our operations. And one thing that the RV lot provides is a tremendous source of income. And we can't expect people to step in and replace that with absolutely nothing and turning it into public parking. So personally, I think that's going to be a non-starter if you wish to pursue it in the future. That's my opinion. But we're obligated to the public to fund our district to the greatest extent we possibly can. So I don't know if we need a motion. We've heard a lot on direction. Do you feel that you're clear to go, or does somebody want to make a motion to proceed?
We have another speaker.
Let a speaker slip and bring it up here right now, please.
What's that?
You don't need a motion.
Right.
Yeah.
Back to the speaker.
Make a comment while we're waiting for her to fill out. Well,
Go ahead.
one of the things is this whole thing is a system. Okay, so when you look at the challenges of Caltrans, that road has been disappearing more and more. And why is that? That's because the beach there has been disappearing more and more. And why is that? Because of the breakwater. So these things all factor in. That road, if we can build out that beach, build out the stone revetment, and build the bike path on top of that section totally away from the road, that would solve it all. But a lot of this is, it's all connected. And so we're hoping that maybe we can do something to build those beaches out further. That's always been my philosophy, is to prograde the shoreline. Vertical seawalls and those kinds of things do not build out the shoreline, but you can do things to build the shoreline out, you know. And so Caltrans is also stuck in that, you know, they need to provide something too. But it's important that we all work together and try to come up with some options.
Can I make a quick comment, Tom?
Go ahead.
So Jim, have we talked to Coastside Fire about any of this? Because Highway 1, I think, is probably one of their primary emergency response routes along the coast. And they need to kind of be involved with some of this too. People are forgetting that. And like, I don't know, have they even weighed in on any of this? I mean, I actually agree with a lot of what everyone has said today. And I think that we're looking at it sometimes in a very narrow way, but I view that as one of the primary emergency response routes on the coast. I mean, they can take the back roads, but you know, that you can't just, there's so few already that Highway 1 to me is one of the main ones.
Remember, there is a fire station
Right there.
right there
On
at Highway 1
Obispo.
and Obispo.
So have we talked to, we should be working with all of the agencies that actually use that road. And I mean, we're dealing with bike lanes on the other side of the hill, and the same issues are coming up. I mean, we don't have the erosion problem, but you know, the other issues of traffic, emergencies, which I mean, I've been bringing up. I just think that if you actually look at the practical use of that highway, and it is a state highway, you know, we need to get all the stakeholders, and Coastside Fire is one of the big ones, in my opinion.
So final comment, for myself, we want to be part of the solution. We're not directly part of the big part of the problem. And I know staff has talked with Caltrans and they talk with City of El Granada and so forth. But is it really on the harbor to organize this? I think the county, maybe through Ray Muller's office, you know. You know, I mean, we have the citizens can go to their county and councilmen and say, hey, you know, put together the group of people that would discuss this. I'm not sure it's that the harbor ought to be running this whole discussion. We're a part of it. We have some options. There's some things we can probably do in different ways to help out the situation. But I think somebody bigger needs to organize it and bring all of those elements into attention. The fire departments, the county, the cities, all of them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I'm not sure how to do that or whether they would do it or not, but I think that's something.
Are we taking the lead on this, Jim?
This is an idea that is, again, part of the solution. We have not sat down with that bigger team because I haven't got the authorization to do so.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for
But what
is,
prompted you to start this whole process?
the need for parking.
We're not the only agency that needs parking.
I agree, but we are an agency that needs parking. We're not the only one. We're just one of them. And this is maybe a part of the solution, but I'm not going to sit down at a table and say, this is part of the solution unless I have the authorization to do so. So today, what I'm looking for is just comments from the board on what I should be looking for, moving this, and is there any objections to me moving forward with this project? And again, all those issues that Catherine outlined, that Janet brought up, and that Todd and Dan brought up, can be included. All that. That's what this is. This is the very beginning before I go out and say the district will do this. Right now, it's just staff discussion.
I know, but you
So
sent a
once I get
letter to the MCC.
Once I get authorization from the board to move forward, then I'll start being a little bit more formal with it.
I know, but Jim, I mean, the letter went to the MCC, which I was a little surprised about because I think we got ahead of the board.
The main
on
purpose
that.
for that email and the letter to the Coastal Commission at the request of Commissioner Slater Carter was to get this option on the table as a possibility to get the fund, other agencies to fund it. to improve our problem.
Okay.
And also provide us with a parking lot for the harbor.
It could be the lead too.
But then, again, and then everything's been highlighted to staff. I don't want to, I'll flip that if the board authorizes it to the San Mateo County Harbor District is doing this or is considering this. But right now, it's just a staff idea that we're bringing to the board.
Hey, let me take a public comment while we're in our discussion. Melinda McNaughton.
Sorry, I was running late. I wanted to make a comment that, and I'm not sure everything, it sounds like you've been discussing a lot of this already, but my concern is the traffic. Already it's clogged in that area, and adding parking seems like a bad idea because people are gonna try and go into El Granada and then those streets will be clogged up. Have no idea where the entry or exit to the parking would be. And already there was a big discussion about the GCSD putting parking in and causing a clog with traffic in the park area that they're going to put in. So it just seems like the Strip is a bad location. I think people really appreciate the nature that actually goes out there, the coyotes, the great blue herons, the owls, birds of prey that actually feed in that area, and the gophers and the little rodents. I think we appreciate having that there and having a parking lot there on that entire area. I'm assuming it's going to go from the Pink House all the way north to the end of the Strip. And there is concern, Natalie Down, who's a naturalist, is very concerned that they're going to pave over Deer Creek, that riparian area that runs across there out to the ocean. And that would be a loss of habitat. Not only for the riparian area, but the coyotes and the hawks and the owls and the herons. Last issue is concern about commercial entities controlling the public work plans. Like, it just seems like, well, who, put in for this? There's a crosswalk going straight to Sam's. So that just seems a little bit of a conflict of interest. And I think also, if the public were to be aware of this happening at some point, that there would be a lot of upset, especially about the traffic. And then the people that are concerned about the environment, the riparian area. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Steve Trousseau.
I would just like to agree with Commissioner Matoush on this about the RV lot. I don't know if the individual still has that lease. His name's Keaton Urhan. He's a local businessman, and he's been excellent at supporting the fuel facilities down at the harbor and the ice machine down at the harbor, and has made no money on those ventures. So I think that RV lot we should bend over backwards working with Keat if there's difficult. And that RV lot basically should be off limits for public parking or anything other than that RV lot. Thank you.
And just for your awareness, the lease on that went from $30,000 a year to just under $200,000 a year. So Keat is supplying the Harbor District with substantial funds.
Income, which is actually about 35% of our budget depends on enterprise income from our tenants and our lessees.
Commissioner Slater Carter.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the speakers, and I want to thank you for attending. It's important to hear from you, and I look forward to letters or notes or emails or what. Virginia, the MCC is the only representation for the Mid-Coast population to the Board of Supervisors. I specifically asked to have them on the list of notices. I was on it for 8 years. And I respect and honor the work the Mid-Coast Council does for people who really care about our community. They get $0 personally. They get no support from the county except as I recall, a teeny office and a photocopying machine. That's it. So, and
I just felt like this letter to them went to them before we knew about the issue. That was my point.
I think we knew about the issue because I've been reporting on it all along. And I want to give Jim thanks for starting before other people and other agencies are making plans and we have no influence. That's what happened with the bike lanes.
Fair.
It was actually, my guess is, and it's a wild ass guess, is that Caltrans is getting money from the federal government to put in these silly bike lanes to be able to fund what they want to do. And there is recognition from many agencies of what the population locally wants or cares about. And I just had an experience with a senator, not Anna Escher, but the other one. I keep forgetting.
Kevin Mullen?
No, Senator.
Becker?
Oh, Josh Becker?
No, out of Padilla.
Idea.
Oh,
And in order to get some help, they asked me to fill out a form that was online. Unfortunately, I couldn't answer all the questions and they wouldn't talk to me unless I filled out their silly form. And it was a matter, it was a very serious matter. I think we need to be at the start of this. I think there's a lot of serious concerns that have been raised. And there's a lot of balancing of separate interests that have to go on. Melinda, I thank you for your comments about the herons and others. Almost 30 years ago, they were talking about putting a parking lot north of what was then the Chart House. And a member of the Montero Sanitary District said, what about the gophers? What about the birds? And there's still no parking lot there. But people do have the luxury of parking on this side of the highway. And county is one of the ones responsible for this. Their planning commission and their planning staff voted unanimously to get rid of parking along here. And so along Highway 1 here at Irving. And there was almost no public outreach except for the planning commission. So I would like to see the Harbor District take the lead so that, because we and the Mid-Coast Community Council are the only two agencies who represent locally the impact of what's going to be happening along them. And our
fire district too.
And our mission is our mission is bigger than the Mid-Coast Council. Mid-Coast Council is entirely local, but our district is countywide. And we need to be looking at parking for all the members and county who want to come forward. Or whether they want to come for recreational, to buy fish, to whatever it is. So I thank the public for your comments and look forward to hearing more. And Jim, thank you for taking the lead on this. I think we do need, and it's our responsibility to be the leader and the leaders that we are for this area. Thank you.
Right.
I'd like to say a comment. Just to echo the comments of Commissioner Slater-Carter, I do appreciate the public input on this. It helps solidify the fact that this is a very complex issue. And even before I was on the board, driving up and down 101, on the weekend, as I passed that long row of cars along by Sam's Chowder House, had the thought of, that's not the safest place in the world for people to be parking. So I can understand trying to find a solution to that. And I would support having the district doing what we can to be part of that solution. I agree with George that we're not the big driver here.
Yeah.
But I would support at least trying to be part of that solution.
We have any other comments from the public? Did you get an email?
The email if you would like. If you'd like me to.
Please.
Received an email from Paul Shankman concerning this agenda item. And it reads as follows. Sorry, I was unable to attend the meeting today as I received late notice. However, we would really like to make our voices heard on this matter. We are very distressed and concerned about the loss of significant parking and the impact on our businesses, our employees, and our customers who come to the coast to visit and frequent many other businesses. We would very much like to work with you to partner on additional parking where available. If you would like us to set up a meeting, thank you, Paul. This email will be entered into the record for the meeting.
Right.
Do we need?
So the working part of this is to receive a motion, or I would say a report and direction to staff. I think the commissioners have provided direction, the public has provided direction. Do you feel comfortable with what's gone on so far? So we don't need a motion. You have a pretty good list. I've seen you writing for quite a while.
No motions required. It's just unless the board directs me to stop working this issue, I will proceed.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item G3, draft operations department position descriptions. General Manager Pruitt.
These position descriptions with the operational staff concerning members of operating engineers, local 3, who represent our assistant harbor master, deputy harbor masters, and harbor workers, has been in the works for probably 10 years, for a long time. And we've put in a lot of work to get them correct. We've hired human resource professional to help us draft it. We've worked with OE3 extensively on the wording of these position descriptions, and OE3 and staff have come to an agreement on the position descriptions for each position for assistant harbor master, deputy harbor master, A and B, and harbor worker. Also is the harbor master position description, which is needed to be updated also, but is not part of the OE3. Beyond, I think we struck a very good balance. It allows us now to go out and solicit to fill empty positions that we currently have, and the people applying for those positions will know exactly what their positions are and for which they apply. Beyond that, the report contains the descriptions themselves.
We have a motion to approve the position.
So moved.
I'll second. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call?
President Mateusz?
Aye.
Commissioner Slater Carter?
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali?
Aye.
Commissioner Domrat? Commissioner Zemke?
Aye.
All right, we're going to close this open session and go into a closed session. So we'll close until we come back.
Recording stopped.
Resume.
Recording in progress.
All right, closed session ended with no reportable actions. So now we're on item J, future agenda items.
I'd like to add a future agenda item for report only. We have a activities committee, and I would like to call a committee meeting sometime after the first of the year to do a lesson learned on our boat lighting festivities. What went well, what didn't go well, how we can improve things in the future, so forth. So we'll schedule something in after the first of the year and then report out. We'll I would like to provide a draft to all the commissioners because everybody will have comments. They could add to it and then we'll do a report out. So.
And I'd like to hear from the crew who was working there
That
too.
too, I think we're,
Guys-
part of that would be to interview, crew members, Chris, everybody, yeah.
Yeah, because I always learn more from talking to the people who are on the ground and in the trenches than.
We had a staff debrief yesterday with the general manager. And also I think I mentioned that on the 19th, Oyster Point Marina is going to also be having a little lighted boat festival.
Yeah, what time
as
is
well.
that again?
I believe it's at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Jacob, you know right off?
I just sent you an email with the time.
Yeah, I think you just got, I just got
So
that.
we can do something after the first that would combine those two activities and look at lessons learned and what we want
Our
to do.
next meeting is the 15th.
We'll do it before that, maybe. Yeah,
Well, the staff is coming back the 12th.
the 14th, that's right. They're off to the 14th.
We're not off. We're just not working in this building.
Oh, okay. Well, we can, we'll figure it out.
And you're not taking that luxury cruise around the world until Trump's not president?
I didn't get that bonus yet. All right, so
Okay.
We have to vote on adding that for a item.
we're not recording yet, so we need to reconvene and start the meeting back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was confused because looking at my agenda, item 2 under closed session. Oh, no, that's general manager. Okay. Never mind. I misread it.
So we're not being recorded or we are?
We are being.
Yes.
Yeah,
My mistake.
I thought it was
This
one.
the board wish to add this George's topic for a future agenda item,
I mean,
unanimous?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right,
one other thing I might just kind of see what everybody's thinking about. From some of the public comments that we got, there appears to be some concern on the part of the public that they're not receiving updates about what's happening with the RV park. And I know that when we were renegotiating that or process, we were pretty clear that we would have a strict, he had to perform certain things. Is there,
and there's a quarterly reporting thing.
is it?
He's met his reporting requirements and he's met his deadlines.
Oh, okay. So then maybe it's just something that needs to be
My intent
communicated.
is to prepare a staff report for the board and the public next month outlining that.
Okay, good. That would work. Great. Thanks.
Any other future agenda items? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right,
Thank you. I move,
we have to close this meeting and then.
I-
Got it. Okay,
I'll
I'll second.
And I vote yes.
All right, roll call.
President Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Slater Carter,
Yes.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Domrat,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is closed, and right now, we'd like the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Harbor Commissioners would like to convene a
Recording
special
stopped.
meeting